there. So welcome. Good morning, everyone. I am Lisa Doyle with Serena Real Estate here in Northern California. And I am so excited to talk with my dear friend, Christophe Choo. He is the awesome agent in Southern California, Beverly Hills. And so Christophe agreed to do an interview with me today for a couple of reasons. I know we've had, just like you, Christophe, a million questions about real estate and the market and what the heck is going on. And yeah, and I think that, people that in my area would benefit from having a little insight on what's going on in the Southern California market, right? And also, I wanted to give everyone a resource of who to talk to if they ever are moving into the Beverly Hills, LA, Southern Cal. You call my friend Christophe. So
I appreciate that. And you're my girl up in Danville.
Of course, yeah, Northern Cal, you got it. So anyways, but Christophe, so we'll just kind of jump right in. And like I said, I'm so thankful for you allowing me to pick your brain again today. So basically, obviously, everywhere in the country, interest rates rising, markets are becoming a lot more what we might deem normal. We're seeing change everywhere. Yeah. So why don't you just jump right in and fill us in on what's happening in your neck of the woods, market-wise?
So there's been so much negative media just the last couple of weeks alone, especially yesterday with the 0.75% interest rate jump, which we all knew was going to happen. I mean, we've been at historic lows in rates for a very long time. And, I do my research always, and I just did my LA market report 2 days ago, which we'll talk about. But I want to talk about interest rates because, I don't remember, when did you start in real estate, Lisa? What year?
86. I think you and I are about the same time.
I was 89. So I don't know about you, but I remember in the late 80s when I started, rates were 16, 17, 18%. Yeah. And I was 18 years old selling real estate. I didn't know any better. I just thought that's what interest rates were. Exactly. I sold a lot of houses.
Well, what's crazy, Christophe, is when they dropped down to 9%, like single digit, we thought, oh my gosh, we've died and gone to heaven, single digits.
Yeah, exactly. I remember thinking, well, I'll never see lower interest rates in my lifetime. But if you look at the reality, I mean, of course, rates are now in the 5s, almost 6%, but they were in the 6-7% range in all of the 2000s. Yeah. They were in the 8.5% range average in the 90s, 13% average in the 80s, and 8.8% in the 70s. So we're still substantially below. I just think, especially today with social media and the world of marketing, everybody is just so short-sighted. They're just looking at, the last couple of years. Oh my God, like constant. Oh my God, rates went from 2.75 to 3.5%. I luckily refinanced 3 times in the last couple of years. So we got the 2.65% rate before everything skyrocketed. Yeah. Mom was like, why are you doing this? I said, because I don't think it's going to continue like this, so.
It couldn't, Christophe. It's like, we all knew that what was happening was partly because of COVID, and they wanted to, inspire the market to keep moving.
Yes.
Like, it couldn't continue like that forever. And this is less than historic averages, even though people are, some people go into a little bit of a panic because we've changed, Yeah.
And in terms of demand, I mean, the demand is pre-pandemic levels. Of course, since the pandemic, demand has basically doubled around the country, which has been great for the economy, the real estate market. So yeah, demand is going to slow down. I think they project 6.9 million sales in the US this year. I think versus 6.1% last year was the amount. Actually, I've got it here somewhere. But so demand is still there, and we still have a low housing supply. Rates are up, yes. So I think the rates are going to affect particularly the first-time buyers around a lot of other parts of the country that are not like our higher price point neighborhoods. Of course, in your market, in my market, a first-time buyer is buying for maybe a condo for 1.2, 1.5, a house for 2 million, right? That's kind of the starting point. Yep. So it does have an effect because you're effectively paying 30-40% more. But when you think, 6% is still a third of what it was in the 80s when we were starting out.
Well, exactly. And it's like you said, historic averages, 6 to 7% was average. It's as much as we were lower for a bit of time. But what people can also keep in mind is there's some creative, arm, like 10-1 arm loans that they can use in the interim. If rates drop down, then they can always refinance, exactly. So most people don't stay in the houses longer than 10 years. So take advantage of some of those programs that allow a lower rate.
Exactly. Yeah, the average, I think, length of time in a home in America is 7 to 8 years. So that's why some of the clients now that are concerned about interest rates, they're just getting 7-year fixed rates or 5-year fixed rates.
Exactly.
So there's always an option. We've been doing this for so long. We always know there's a way to make it happen. You buy one. You don't buy houses because of the economy. You buy a house because you need a home.
Well, exactly. What's crazy is 6 months ago, you and I both, 3 to 6 months ago, the markets were very heated, low inventory, and buyers were having to compete. Yep. Right now, the markets have become a little bit more normal. Like there's more inventory to choose from. And now the buyers have opportunities where they have a chance to look at a few homes and, they don't have to make such immediate decisions. I mean, it's a better environment for them for sure.
Right.
They can then sell their home and go find a home somewhere else and, still.
I remember the last house we bought was in 2000. And I remember telling my wife, I said, we bought a more expensive home than we were planning to buy. It was about 30% more. Rates, I think, were around 7% at that time, maybe 6.5%.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to Gabrielle, I said, well, it's a bit more than our budget than we want to spend, but we can afford it. I said, so we'll go to a couple less fancy dinners a month, right?
Yeah.
And I did say to her, I said, we're buying at the top of the market. But that's okay. So if prices go down, it doesn't matter. We can afford the house and it's a great neighborhood. It's near the office. So it really doesn't matter. And I remember a couple years after was 9/11, where the whole market changed and it started skyrocketing, right, till 2007, 2008. But now today, our house is worth 7 times what we paid for it. 7 times in 22 years or 21 years.
Well,
that's significant.
Oh, it's huge, significant. And what's interesting too, we were talking about cycles. A longtime agent friend of mine, and the other day we were talking about cycles, and we always have ebbs and flows in real estate and everything else, the stock market and everything that, there's always those ebbs and flows. So back in like 2007, 2008 would have been deemed the peak of the market at that time, right?
Yes.
People were talking about how much we had a little bit of obviously it was an adjustment. The whole country adjusted because of the financials, which is different than we were likely to see this time, right?
Yep.
But if you looking back, even though the market fell after 2007, looking back, most people would have wished they would have bought 15 homes in 2007. Even though they lost money for a bit of time, the recovery and the appreciation after was so significant. The market always has cycles. You're buying a home for your future, not for the immediate.
And I think the funny thing is that right now buyers are saying, well, with rates going up, the quote unquote recession, the stock market going down, crypto dropping, I said, we're going to wait to buy because prices are going to go down. And, nobody really has a crystal ball, but when you look at all the top experts, I think the average, here it is right now, because I talked about this the other day, the average price appreciation forecasted for 22 is 9%. That's the average.
Yeah.
From Mortgage Brokers Association, Zeman, NAR, CoreLogic, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae. So they range from 6.2 to 10.8%. And this is upgraded since December. December, they were lower numbers, but they've upgraded the projections. Of course, rates are going up, and then sales are still strong. So, and I read something this morning that says a correction is a decline of 10% or greater in the price of a security or asset or financial market. So we are not in a decline. I mean, I don't know about your area, but we're not seeing price declines at this point.
We're seeing a little bit of, I would say a little bit of the first 4 months of this year had such a significant rise.
Yep.
I think that we're going to step back a little bit from that crazy. Yep. But like you said, I don't see it being a significant drop. I mean, even if you look at historic, and people talk about recession too, and like the definition of a recession is just 2 quarters of negative growth. It's like, it's not the end of the world. Like a recession is just a few quarters of negative growth. But
yes.
In the last 6 recessions, only 2 of them actually lost value in real estate. Real estate gained value in the others. So yeah.
So funny. I have that sheet right in front of me.
No, me too. So your market is not seeing really a softer, just maybe taking longer to sell. Is that kind of what you're seeing?
I would say some things are taking a little bit longer to sell. I do think sellers, and having, you and I have both been through several stressful markets.
Yes.
I think we have to be a little bit more conscious of the feeling of buyers out there, and pricings maybe a little bit more cautiously than we would have in the last few months.
Right.
But our market, and I just did my update video yesterday. And I do it specifically for the luxury market, and in our marketplace, luxury starts at 5 million. Okay. So when you look at the numbers, and I'll just go over it briefly. The higher end in our market, the better the marketplace, and this is basically comparing 2022 now compared to 2021. So it's a year-over-year differential. So our 5 million market, we're up 5% in terms of number of sales. We've had 477 sales so far in the LA West Side of over 5 million. That's a lot. Almost 500 sales in 6 months. That's pretty significant. The $10 million sales are up 11% in terms of volume.
Wow.
We've had 165 so far this year. 20 million was at 42 sales this year, so we're up 10% in sales. Now the 30 million, there've been 21 sales, that's up 90%, it's almost double. Wow. And in the 40 million range, we are over double. We're up 115% from the year before. So it's interesting that the really, really wealthy are continuing to buy really expensive properties, because I've always heard since I started that what's your best hedge against inflation? Real estate.
For sure.
Always. And if you think about it, there's every commodity out there, stocks and bonds and everything can drop pretty significantly. And I mean, you could lose almost all your value in a stock in an hour, right? But homes, that never happens. If there is a decline in price, it's a slow decline. It takes a while. I remember the mid 90s market, it was going down for about 3 years, right? Remember 91, 92, 93, but it was a slow decline. It wasn't like all of a sudden things went down 50%. It just doesn't work that way.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. We've had our ebbs and flows for sure since you and I, you know, and what the one thing that's so important for consumers to realize too is all of the negative media, like you said, positive media doesn't sell. So of course they're going to harp on the negative stuff. They're going to make people try to be afraid.
Yes.
When you're in that space, even if it's not necessarily justified, right? That level of fear isn't justified. But the consumer really needs someone like you, has been around a long time, to guide them through it. You know, if an agent has been in the business less than 10 years, they don't even understand that this isn't the skies falling. You know, this is this is normal. You know, this is like what we just have to
help. I saw a post yesterday on social media. Someone said, it was a broker, said, "Oh my God, oh my God, the rates are so high, no one's going to buy anything." Yeah. I thought, no, not at all. Not at all. I've got 4 escrows in process, and a couple of them are cash, a couple of them finance, but they're happy to buy. Well, and my client was talking, one of them, they live abroad, and they're getting a loan on this particular house. And he's one of the ones that kept saying, "Oh, the market's dropping, prices are going to go down, you know, blah, blah, blah." But he says, "I need a house." And that's the bottom line. You need a house. So you need a home, or you need a condo, or whatever you need. You still got to buy it, you know. Yeah. You go to the market, you still need food, whether it's got 10%, 20%, you still need to buy your milk and eggs and food to eat.
Gas and everything else. Yep, exactly. So now the areas that you serve, I know Beverly Hills, Bel Air. So what's the radius of how far you work?
So I'm in the center of Beverly Hills is my office, and we're kind of in the heart, we're in the heart of the west side of Los Angeles. So I basically do most of the west side of Los Angeles, from downtown LA through Los Feliz to Encino, the valley, parts of the valley, although we're just selling a house in the West Valley, to Malibu, down to like Marina Del Rey, Redondo Beach, that area. When they're big properties, I'll go a little bit further for a significant, estate. But yeah, basically about a 10, 12 mile radius from my office in a circle all the way around. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted everyone to know, where you work and how,
I appreciate that. And I think one of the good things about this market, the industry's changed so much in 30-some years since you've been around. Yeah. So many agents got in the industry the last 5, 6, 7 years. A lot, especially a lot of very young people. And they just have no background understanding or knowledge of cycles and markets. They just rode the wave of the hot market. Yeah. And now I'm sure they're all freaking out because it's not going to be the same for them. But for us, you and I, we both take time to study the marketplace. We go to conferences, we go to webinars, we share webinars, we read information, we share it to our clients, because like you said earlier, we have to help guide them and educate them. We're like a lawyer, we're like a doctor. The news is the news, the reality is the reality. We just have to help guide them through why they need to sell, why they want to upgrade, whatever that process is, help them know where we are today, what we expect to be down the road, and where they fit in that puzzle, and how we can help them do and accomplish what they want to accomplish with their real estate needs.
Exactly. And one of the things too that's so important for people to understand, which is why I'm going to do a series of videos like this with my agent friends all over the country, because people need to also understand that just because the Danville market might not be as heated, if they're moving to Texas or Florida or LA or Beverly Hills or wherever you're moving, you're probably going to see a little bit more of a buyer-friendly space there as well. So it's a relative, they don't have to be afraid to be a little softer here, that they'll be able to take advantage of that on the other side.
Right. One of the things I read this morning is that I believe on the West Coast, they said the price appreciation was about 4%, but the South was 26%. I do know that a lot of those small towns in the South, they just skyrocketed. So quickly. So that, I think those kinds of markets might be where there's more challenges, because when buyers are buying their first time home for $300,000, $250,000, $400,000, they're the ones that are going to be affected. They were renters and they're now buying. I guess everyone was a renter at some point. So I think those markets will be more affected than the high-end markets. Of course, there's this pullback everywhere at some point, or a little bit. And look, it is what it is. We're still going to have sales, and we're going to still have 6.9 million houses to sell in America this year.
Exactly.
So, we'll get our share of it.
always, you and I are always working hard. What's interesting is so my market is not anywhere as close to the high end of your market, right? Our high end is like maybe 3 to 4 million, 5 million, like that's the higher end of our area.
Right.
I am helping a family right now sell a home that's what would be in our high end, right? The 4 to 5 million. And another agent told them that the market is too hard. Like she just bailed on helping them. The market's too hard. And I was like, oh my God, hard is my middle name. We've been
Exactly. Market's too hard.
We've been through, way harder than this. It's like, I can absolutely.
Especially in LA. I mean, I remember the day we had the riots. Remember the riots in 91 or whatever it was? Or 90, whatever it was. I was in Koreatown when the riots happening, and I was going home at middle of the day, and every other building was on fire. And here I am, an Asian guy in a Mercedes driving down the streets with the looters and the rioters and the fires. And I thought to myself, oh my God, who's going to ever buy a house in LA again? Well, after a couple of weeks, things settled and people started buying again.
Exactly.
We had the big earthquake, we had 5 or 6 escrows in play, and we had the big earthquake, and I'm like, oh gosh, they're going to all cancel the escrows. No one's going to buy. I don't think anything canceled, and they all closed. And, no matter what happens, okay, things happen in life.
Yeah.
Just got to keep moving on forward with everything.
But people need homes. And so, so I so appreciate and then what do you think in the next, this is a question that we get all the time, of course, which none of us has a crystal ball, but you've got a lot of experience to kind of guess maybe what's going to happen over the next couple of years. Where do you think your market will go in that time? Like the next 2 to 3 years? What do you think?
I think the prices will be about the same. I think we'll see some small appreciation. But now in the high end market, it's a very discretionary market. If you're a billionaire or 100 millionaire or whatever, and you want to buy a $10-20 million home, and usually those are quite often second, third, or fourth homes. Just like I'm sure in your market, people buying $3 or $4 million homes, they might often have maybe a condo in the city, and then they have a place in the country, so
suburbs.
And luckily, you're near San Francisco, we're in a big city, so there's we have a pretty vibrant economy, and as California is the 5th largest economy in the world. I mean, we're like it's like the 5th country. It's like a country. So I think market may go down a little bit in price, but not much, or stay about the same. That's kind of my opinion. Demand will cool off a little bit, I think, but going from super high demand to 5 or 10% less demand is not a significant change, in my opinion.
I think the biggest thing is just the sellers being understanding that it will take more time. It may take more time right now because we do have a little bit more to choose from, and market not quite as heated, but that the market's still stable and healthy.
Exactly.
Basically what I'm getting from you. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, how is it in Danville? It's the same thing, I would imagine.
Same thing, definitely. We've had a pretty significant increase in inventory. It's like in our area, we're a pretty small, the Danville surrounding area, the inventory here, like earlier in the year, to give an example, in February and March, we had at one time, there might only been 30 houses for sale. And that was the entire Danville.
Wow.
30 houses and 160 pending, right? There was just so much. And now we've kind of reversed to that. We've got about 113 active and about 62 pending.
Got it.
A little bit of a supply and demand shift, and more normal space.
What percentage of your market is cash buyers versus finance buyers?
So my market's probably very different than yours. Ours is still only about 10% cash. We're mostly financed. Although a lot of the buyers are coming from the Silicon Valley, right? They're tech employees that are paid well, and they come in with pretty significant down. But most of them finance, and so we have a very low cash. A lot of my clients have been asking me that the last couple months, is our market won't care because it's all cash. Well, it really isn't. It's mostly finance. So the numbers do matter to most people. Obviously, it affects their ability to purchase and their purchasing power. But 6%, like you said, we historic averages. This is below the historic average. So it really isn't as bad as what people are hearing from media.
Yeah, it's still basically today. I think it's still in the 5s as of now.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. Still in the 5s. Yeah. So, but I guess, more than I appreciate your, friendship, and you're just awesome, and your expertise in the market where you are, and always excited to learn from you. So
same with you, and we go back a long way, and we continue to learn and grow together, and get through whatever the market brings our way.
Exactly. Yeah, whatever we're doing. So if you guys, so anyone that's watching, of course, Christophe Choo is he's one of the things that I've always admired about you, Christophe, is not only are you knowledgeable and smart and like very, you know your market better than anyone. You're just a genuine good person too. So people can rely on you. Yeah, they can rely on you. So I appreciate that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you guys.
Always do good and be good.
Exactly. You contribute, and I love that. I think that's a big deal, but
Thank you.
yeah, but thanks for everyone for watching. If you have any questions, call Christophe anytime. We're going to put your contact across the bottom of this.
Perfect.
And of course, if you need anything in Northern Cal, call me anytime.
Thank you. And we'll do our affirmations again tomorrow morning as we do every day.
9 a.m. tomorrow. See you, Lou.
Okay, Lisa, thank
Bye.
you.
Take care. Stay well.
Bye.